In 1922, USGS scientist George Mansfield used a map and an alidade telescope near Brown Mountain to test mysterious lights that witnesses thought were moving. That is the first concrete contradiction. The lights looked strange to the naked eye. Through measurement, some plotted to trains, car headlights, and brush fires. Confirmed, Brown Mountain light reports became famous in western North Carolina. Confirmed, at least some early investigated lights matched ordinary distant sources. Disputed, whether every claimed Brown Mountain light is explained that way. So the question is not simply, are the lights real? It is which reported lights survive a sightline test. Here is the first evidence payoff. A mysterious light is not proven by brightness alone. You need direction, angle, time, schedule, distance, and a map. That was the power of the Mansfield investigation. A light that seemed to drift could be checked against a fixed azimuth. A timed appearance could be compared with a railroad schedule. A flare in the dark could be compared with brush fires or distant road traffic. Brown Mountain is a mystery of sightlines as much as lights. Brown Mountain is a ridge in western North Carolina, near the Blue Ridge and Linville Gorge region. People have watched for the lights from places like Wiseman's View, Table Rock, Blue Ridge Parkway overlooks, and roads near Jonas Ridge. The viewing geometry matters. From a ridge, distant sources can line up in surprising ways. A train far below can look like a mountain light. A headlight turning a curve can look like a flare. A brush fire can look detached from the ground. Confirmed, the viewing locations are real. Interpretive, the landscape makes misclassification easy. The modern legend builds around early 20th century reports. Newspaper attention increased around the 1910s, during a period when electric lighting, railroad lights, and road traffic were becoming more visible in the region. That timing matters. It does not prove the legend was invented, but it does warn us that technology can create new mysteries. When stronger train headlights and electric lights enter a dark mountain landscape, the night changes. Confirmed, early published attention clusters in the era of electrification. Disputed, older stories that push the lights far back without strong documentation. In 1913, USGS geologist D.B. Sterrett investigated reports and found that some lights could be explained by locomotive headlights. That does not erase every future claim, but it gives the case a pattern from the start. Observers saw lights. Investigators checked direction and timing. Known sources explained important reports. This is why Brown Mountain should not be framed as pure folklore or pure debunk. It is a layered case. There are real observations. There are real explanations. And there are stories that grew larger after the measurements. Mansfield's 1922 work is the evidence board centerpiece. He did not just stand outside and guess. He used an alidade telescope to measure the direction of lights. He plotted those directions on a map. He compared appearances with possible sources. One light that seemed to move was found to remain stationary by repeated readings. Other lights aligned with a railroad curve or ordinary distant activity. Confirmed, Mansfield concluded the observed lights were not mysterious phenomena, but explainable sources. Interpretive, that conclusion explains many early reports, but it also created a new phase of the legend. The legend survived because a technical explanation does not always defeat a powerful place story. Brown Mountain has the right ingredients: ridges, dark overlooks, deep valleys, local memory, tourist curiosity, and a light that appears far enough away to resist casual inspection. Once a location becomes known for mystery, people arrive expecting mystery. Then every distant flicker gets sorted through that expectation. That is not dishonesty. It is how human perception works in a famous landscape. The known source board is simple but important. Trains, car headlights, brush fires, reflections, camp lights, atmospheric distortion, distant towns or roads. These sources can produce lights that seem to hover, flare, split, or move when seen across mountain distance. Confirmed, several investigated reports matched ordinary sources. Disputed, claims that ordinary sources explain every modern story. The safest evidence label is not paranormal. The safest label is classification required. Modern monitoring adds another useful card. Appalachian State University installed low-light cameras overlooking the Brown Mountain and Linville Gorge region. By 2014, reports describe thousands of viewing hours without an unexplained brown mountain light being captured. That does not prove no unusual light can ever appear. But it does make the case harder. If a phenomenon is frequent, cameras should eventually catch it. If cameras do not catch it, then either the phenomenon is rare, the reports are being misclassified, or the monitoring is not looking at the right place and time. All three possibilities are testable. Compare the two versions. Version 1, Brown Mountain as a ghost light legend. That version is culturally powerful, but often weak on dated evidence. Version 2, Brown Mountain as a sightline and classification problem. That version is stronger because it explains why strange lights cluster around overlooks, ridges, roads, rail lines, and expectation. The careful position is not to mock the legend. It is to test the light. If a report survives map direction, timing, traffic, rail, weather, and camera checks, then it becomes more interesting. Until then, the story is famous, but the evidence is mixed. What would strengthen a Brown Mountain claim? 2 or more synchronized cameras from different locations. Exact compass bearings. Traffic and rail activity logs. Weather and visibility data. A map showing where the lines of sight cross. And raw footage with timestamps. That would separate a beautiful story from a strong observation. A single glowing dot can start a mystery, but triangulation decides whether the light is on the mountain, behind the mountain, or nowhere near the mountain at all. Brown Mountain still pulls views because the image is emotionally clean. A dark ridge. A distant glow. A local legend. A government investigation. A possible explanation that does not satisfy everyone. That is the perfect shape for a mystery channel, but the value is not in pretending the measurements never happen. The value is showing the audience how a legend can survive a serious test, adapt to new culture, and still ask for better evidence. That is richer than a simple ghost story. The real Brown Mountain mystery may be the life cycle of a legend. Reports appear. Newspapers amplify them. Investigators test them. Known sources explain many. The story changes shape. Tourists return. New witnesses look from old overlooks. And the mountain keeps receiving the projection. That does not make the lights fake in the simple sense. It means the case is a collision between geography, technology, memory, and expectation. If Brown Mountain lights made you rethink ghostlight legends, stay with the Mystery Atlas TV. We follow cases where the landscape is real, the witnesses saw something, and the explanation depends on measurement. For Brown Mountain, what would convince you? A 2-camera triangulation? A rail and traffic exclusion? Low-light footage from multiple overlooks? Or one event that survives every sightline test? Tell me your proof standard before the next light appears.